Seriously, really? We're going to go through this. Apparently, we are. Steve here from The Varied Life. I am the retired hobby tech guy who has been known to go to the gym a little bit every once in a while. With that said, I just do it for myself. I'm not a big fitness influencer. I don't train anybody. I help people out. But you know what? It's just not something that I would do. I've helped a number of people train and do their nutrition plans and things like that. I've done month-long nutrition plans with people, made routines, but I really enjoy the hobby tech stuff, but I still love going to the gym to keep the demons at bay. So with that, today's topic is going to be the toxic Roid rage bodybuilder assaults two people while training a client. Seriously, just stop it. Now, you might be wondering what in the world is going on. In my life, I just had my 58th birthday, and for any type of reference in the world of fitness, I'm 6'2", I'm 255, 257 pounds. I got some visible abs. I'm doing okay. I bulk and I cut a little bit, and I'm just trying to be in the best shape that I can to enjoy my retirement. With that being said, being in the military and then working in a couple of prisons, for 11 years, being a lieutenant, I've seen a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, in the gym culture, there's some toxic people. And there are people in the fitness influencer realm act all big and bad, and they remind me of inmates. And they have no clue as to what respect is. They have no clue in regards to professionalism. They have no, they act out against other people because of their insecurities. You have people that will bully others, in prison, you have the guys that mean mug other people and try to take away their canteen, or charge them rent, or, force people, smaller, younger people or even older people to do sexual favors for them. And they try to play the big bad guy. And that it's just such a warped sense of reality. It's not even funny. So, when I see people like that in prison, people who would never, ever get out, and they're going to die in prison, I'm seeing that same mentality in some fitness influencers. And we're going to talk about this today. Toxic Roid Rage Bodybuilder, welcome to the show. This is Mike Van Wyck, and rhymes with prick. So we're going to take a look at this, and I am just amazed. First of all, let me see if I can get my ducks in a row, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't have that yet. Let me pull this up, and we're going to take a look at some stuff here. Okay, so here we end up having, and I'm gone. Where am I? Oh, no. There I am. Okay, so now everything is good. This guy here, Mike Van Wyck, he's a Canadian bodybuilder, and he has he's come into the news. It's interesting because when we look at some of his information, we see that way back in the day he was a bodybuilder. He actually got his IFBB Pro card, and he had a couple of tattoos, and then he went through this transformation. He did competitions, he did fairly well, and he's on juice. I mean, there's no debating, there's no blind people can see that this guy is juicing to the gills. But for some reason, what has ended up happening is that he stopped competitive bodybuilding due to an injury when he was doing like 200-pound dumbbell incline press and ripped a pec and then had surgery and stuff like that. But suddenly, as you can see over here, he ends up, now he's got a ton of tattoos, like he is, look at him there. It's like he's trying to be hard. He's trying to be a prison inmate, and this just screams that he wants attention, that he is the tough guy. And you can get tattoos or whatever you want to do. You watch his videos. I've watched his videos. It's had some good information on there. He loves working out and blah, blah, blah. You know, he disagrees with people. I disagree with people. I don't really care. You know, we just take what we want and run with it, and it's good. You know, it's not a life or death situation. There's no reason to get so angry at people when it comes in the world of fitness, but it happens and especially with the fitness influencers, it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, he's got tats all over his body, like he's been to prison, and which I'm pretty sure he hasn't. And he's all tough and gruff and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, that's Mike Wyck. He's got some cool videos. He does this black and white, you know, this whole black and white genre of stuff of videos. I think it's just kind of a shtick to you know, that edgy black and white feel. But yeah, there's also some other problems. Now here he is actually smiling, and he's had some problems before. Now let me get you a little bit of background on this. Eric Kane, and he's a bodybuilder. Eric Kane SVK official, whatever. But him and his buddy, what they end up doing is going around to these bodybuilder fitness influencer shows where there's so much testosterone in the room, it's not even funny, and people trying to posture themselves and peacock around, you know, and stupid sheep come around and get their autographs and get pictures with them. It just doesn't, I never understood the whole celebrity, let's get pictures, oh, I swoon over you type of thing. That was just never something that was in my wheelhouse. And to give you a little bit of background, what's really interesting is that I've had family members back in the day who, when I was really young, and I'm 58 now, who worked at Universal Studios. And I had an uncle that worked at Universal Studios, kind of high up in the organization. And I remember him taking me and my grandparents to Universal Studios. And I remember meeting Charlton Heston. I remember meeting Telly Savalas. I remember meeting a couple others. I was really young, and I never was starstruck, but we would go on to the lots of Universal Studios, not on the little can tour that everybody goes with, but in our own golf cart. And we went around and got to go on set and meet some of these people. And the actors that I had met were awesome. You know, they were down-to-earth people. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. You know, Telly Savalas was pretty cool. Also met the two guys from, what was the Motorcycle Cop show? I can't remember their names. And you know, Charlton Heston from Planet of the Apes and stuff like that. I got to get on set on that. And so my experience with these people was like everyday people. At least those people were everyday people when I met them. So I didn't have this mentality of, oh, you know, these people are so incredible, you know, swooning and you know, I just, you know, kind of like what people did with Elvis. I just never did that. And that kind of continued on through my entire life. But nowadays, people are just lining up to get pictures and photographs and swoon over these people and hang on every single word that these shitness influencers end up doing. So, anyway, this guy over here...
Nice to meet you, brother. I'm a huge fan.
He is a guy that goes around with another guy, and they go to these fitness expo things where all of these, you know, big bad guys who try to look like they've been in prison... what they end up doing is going around and they test and verify, which is kind of hilarious to me. They will actually go around and they'll have a tape measure and they'll have a scale and they'll go up to these people and say, hey, well, how tall are you? And hey, you're looking good and blah, blah, blah. By the way, how much you weigh? And then they'll say, oh, can we just verify it? And so, you know, bodybuilders and some people, some of the influencers, I would say maybe half, maybe most, are down with that. They're like, sure, they step on the scale and they get measured and it's not a big deal. Here, what we end up seeing is quite the opposite. So this will give you a little bit of background, a little bit of insight into Wyck, and what type of person he is, and the crowd that he runs around talk smack, but they don't put out.
I don't really agree with like everything you say, but other than that, I'm a huge fan. Okay. You're big as fuck, bro.
Thanks,
how much do you weigh?
310.
310? Hell yeah. How tall are you?
6 foot.
6 foot? You might have my friend.
Not a fucking chance, bro.
You know, my friend just wanted to confirm.
No, we're good, man. No, we're good.
Why? Why are you touching me?
We're not gonna do any of that.
We're not
gonna do any.
Now that's the guy whose channel Eric Kanensky or whatever. So him and the other guy in the back here just go around and they verify. Excuse me. And they do the height and weight thing. It's kind of a fun thing. It's, you know, they generate content. That's their deal. Now you got this ginger-looking dude here who tries to posture up and try to run interference for Mike. In other words, he's kind of like a hatchet man, but really he's not. He's just like a big barking chihuahua. Well, he's a small barking chihuahua, so let's continue.
I was just asking his height and weight. Don't worry about it.
Appreciate you coming by. Step out, bro.
Wait, why can't we check your height and weight?
You don't have to touch me. I mean, I was just asking your height and weight. There's no reason to touch me. I'm not touching you. You don't have to touch me.
Please,
What's the big deal? Like, you just asked your height and weight.
What is the point, guys?
We're just asking your height and weight. Why is this guy trying to be intimidating?
Talk to him.
Hey, why are you trying to be intimidating? Why are you trying to be intimidating?
Intimidated to you. You think I give a fuck? You know who I am?
Who are you?
Get the fuck out of
We
here.
just asked his height and weight.
What's the big deal?
Get the fuck out of here.
We will, but like, what's
We're asking whatever the fuck I want.
Why are you getting in my face because I asked his height and
Get the
weight?
fuck out of here.
This is the type of mentality and stuff that you see in prison. It's a warped view of respect and disrespect. You know, you hear this whole thing, why you disrespecting me, bro? Anything that is deemed an offense to my position, my power, or my homies, or whatever like that, is deemed disrespect. No matter the fact whether it's right, wrong, or wrong 100 times over, it is still deemed as disrespect. And unfortunately, in the world of fitness and shitness influencers, you have people like this redheaded dude that is doing this posturing up thing, which is kind of the worst position you should be in if you're threatening people, is put your hands crossed and down by your crotch. But he talks a big game, but there's no bite to this dog.
What do you guys think? You're tough guys?
No, we just asked his height and
do
weight.
something. Do something. Get the
I
fuck
can't.
out of here.
There's tough guys in the way.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I'm your worst fucking nightmare. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know who I am. See you later.
Tanner, this is our worst nightmare. We better get out.
You
This
need
is
a
scary.
blunt, bro. You want to go take a smoke break?
wait,
I got a
Tanner.
blunt.
You should do something.
You should.
I'm trying to check his height and weight.
We are trying to do something. We're trying to
Yeah.
take height and weight. We are. That's pretty physical. Stepping on a scale.
That's just absolutely crazy on what we end up seeing here. It continues on. Now, let's see what happens.
What's tough about
Make my
this?
fucking day.
What is tough about
Make my
this?
fucking day. I'm your worst.
What is tough about weighing someone? How are we tough guys?
Get the fuck out of here. Like, you come in the booth.
I don't understand this.
This doesn't happen unless you come in the fucking booth, right?
I asked you a question. How is
Came
that
in
being
my
a tough
fucking booth. It's
guy?
not a fucking public booth.
It's a public event, my guy.
This is what I don't get. You know, I mean, you think that you're an influencer and you're trying to get views and clicks and more followers on your Instagram and YouTube and whatever social media thing. I have very next to nothing. That's not really my thing. But here you have an opportunity to play this to a whole nother audience for somebody who has over 1 million followers just on YouTube alone, and not counting the 1 million followers or more on Instagram and so on and so forth, and you're being a dick. It doesn't make good financial sense. It doesn't make good marketing sense. But then again, we're talking about toxic people who don't know how to act. So let's continue on.
We're making a huge mistake, Tanner.
We're making a huge mistake.
You know who I am.
Wicked? What's the issue?
I don't know.
There is the.
I just asked his height and weight. What is the issue?
This is our worst nightmare, Tanner.
It's my worst nightmare.
This guy here.
I've never seen you in my dreams.
The thing is that you got Mike Wyck doing his thing and doing the same thing, and it's like, you know, asking some questions, and it's like, why are you doing this, bro? And it's like a content creator. And then there's the threats, I'll kill you, blah, blah, blah. I'm your worst nightmare, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just actually kind of crazy.
I don't know. Why is he talking about killing me?
Why is it? What? I was about to finish.
Yeah, it just gets absolutely crazy on all this stuff. And it's amazing what we end up seeing is this posturing and this supposed disrespect. And if you're really a smart businessman, you would get rid of the ginger who was standing up for you, because that's just not a thing. You just spoiled the chance of getting millions and millions of followers to tune into your channel, and you're being a prick, whatever, Wyck. This goes even further. This is just to give you some background on what is going on in the world of shit influencers and fitness. And now the big thing is Big Mike Wyck assaults Jeff Nippard. Now, Jeff Nippard, in case you don't know, is an individual who, he's that guy right there. He's like 5'5", 5'6". He's about 180, 190 pounds, somewhere around that. And it ends up that Jeff also has his pro card in natural bodybuilding, which is kind of cool. And he does videos, he does science-based stuff. And there was this beef that has arose from Mike Wyck, the Mike. And what he ended up doing is he basically called out Jeff Nippard as saying, hey, all these influencers and fitness people, that claim science and, here's how you do it. How come they look, do they look, outstanding, good, or mediocre? And he says, well, mediocre, how come? And he points and actually mentions Jeff Nippard as saying that before, when Jeff was lifting heavy and doing all that stuff, his shoulders were really big and well-defined, and then he got into this science-based stuff, and he showed pictures of Jeff later on where it ends up, it's not as well-defined. And so he takes this dig at Jeff, which is like, okay, whatever, a big 300-pound guy at 6 foot is, poking at a guy who also has millions of followers, and you're alienating a bunch of prospective followers. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Well, anyway, this escalated to the point of where, there's a simple explanation. There's been times in my life where I have been 263, 265 pounds, and I was big. But if you compare that picture to what I am now, or when I was like 240 pounds, it's just because life changes. You can't, people go through different phases of life. Some people put on muscle, then they cut, then they maintain. Maybe people are having some injuries. Maybe people realize that, hey, as I get older, I don't need to go as hard as I used to. Maybe there's an injury that he's nursing or whatever, or it could be something even as simple as getting to the point of like, the lighting for the pictures that really showed my shoulders, where I was tanned, had overhead lighting, had shadows, casting, the whole 9 yards, can be vastly different than the exact same person in the exact same condition without the overhead lightings, without the fake tan, without the, in other words, photography and photoshopping and all that stuff, you can have, and there's examples of this, of where you can look at the same person and say, oh man, he looks really jacked in this, and in this one, not so much. And then you find out it's on the exact same day. For somebody to, like Mike, to kind of do that is kind of underhanded. And again, I don't understand, if your job is to try to get followers and viewers and clicks and views, why are you alienating an entire audience of another influencer who has a huge fan base? I don't know. It just is what it is. But let's go back, and it ends up that Mike Wyck, the prick, assaults Jeff Nippard, does it twice, and what he ends up doing is assaulting him and Jeff's cameraman. Now, he didn't do this in like a crowded dark alley. Jeff didn't, what was the circumstances? Did Jeff, instigate this and hunt Mike down at a gym? Yeah, it was in a gym. And supposedly it was when Mike was training a client, and he goes and assaults a guy who's 180 pounds and he's 300, so, just less than half his size, and 5'6", and he's 6 foot at 310 supposedly. You're training a client, but you're going to be so toxic and a dick that you're going to go assault a guy who you said is mediocre. If he's truly mediocre, why would you waste your time on him? Again, this is the type of mentality that I saw in prisons with inmates. And there's people that are in prison that realize what they've done. They're redoing their lives. They're going to get a second chance. They understand what they did wrong and they're changing. And then there's the other people that will probably never get out of the system. You have people that will never get out of prison, and they have this warped sense of respect. And once they are disrespected, they will do everything they can to bully another person because of the disrespect, the supposed disrespect. Now, it's interesting because we're going to take a look at this, and this is just crazy. Now, this is from, we don't have the whole video, but this is Canada, and they don't release the whole thing, but let's take a look. And
Damn.
so it does,
Damn.
basically attacks him.
Y'all know that.
Basically attacks him, does a throat hit, and there's more information on this.
The science-based guys. The science guys really need to answer this question before anything. Why is it that you remain so mediocre, yet you know so much?
I know I don't need to respond to this, but since he asked, using science-based training, I won Natural Bodybuilding Nationals. I earned my pro card on the most competitive stage in the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. I placed second in my first bodybuilding pro show, and while doing this, I set the Canadian record on the bench press, and I set a provincial record on the squat. I currently weigh 180 pounds at 5'5" tall, which is pretty close to my natural limit given my height and my genetics. That's all besides the point though, because facts are facts. Information is either right or wrong. It doesn't matter who that information is coming from. If the people with the best physiques had the most knowledge, why would C-Bum need a coach? He has the best physique on the planet. Who could possibly know more than him? Well, it's pretty obvious that bodybuilding success comes from great genetics and really hard training. And if you want to make it in the IFBB, steroid use. I like science because it gives me more confidence in what actually works and what doesn't, because it isolates variables. If you trust a big guy's advice over scientific studies, that doesn't bother me. I listen to what big guys have to say too.
So this whole thing here is absolutely crazy. And when we take a look at the Tribune, Jeff Nippard presses charges after viral gym assault by Mike Van Wyck. They actually got his last name right. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Confirms Joey Swole. Now, Joey Swole is the ambassador of gym positivity, and he calls out people that do stupid in the gym and this gym culture thing. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. So again, there's our toxic guy, Mike Wyck, and there's Jeff Nippard, and he's kind of posturing in front of the MRI machine. And it ends up that Joey Swole has revealed the fitness influencer has pressed charges against Mike Van Wyck after he assaulted him. Now, it happened at Pure Muscle Fitness in Burlington, Ontario on October 21st. That was my birthday. So what joy do I get off of this? Video circulating shows Van Wyck pushing Nippard by the throat, almost causing him to fall into a weight rack. Actually, it happened twice. Nippard later claimed, what are we doing? Claimed Van Wyck struck him again and pushed his cameraman into a cable machine. The following incident, Wyck was banned from the gym. Joey Swole, a prominent figure in bodybuilding, confirmed that even Van Wyck turned himself in after Nippard pressed charges. It's never okay to put your hands on someone the way Mike did to Jeff in the gym or anywhere. This absolutism in the fitness industry needs to stop. And that is absolutely true. I mean, there is no reason to put your hands on somebody unless you are defending yourself or others who can't defend themselves from serious injury, life-threatening things, so on and so forth. Or you're in war. That's kind of the thing. You know, it's life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and defending yourselves and others against harm. But this guy, supposedly, you know, he's super smart, this guy Mike, and he knows more than the science-based nerds. And, you know, his whole thing is, oh, you got to be big and buff and all this. And he doesn't take into account that he's probably the dumbest one in the room when that event happened. So Joey Swole goes on, and everyone is making videos, but the first thing I did was message him, their friends, and privately to see if he's okay. It ends up that, seriously, let's see if this pops up. To see if he was okay, and asked if he wants anyone to make videos or comment. Of course, some content creators used it for views, while some know him personally and truly care that he did a good job, like TNF covering the incident. I did not make a video or post because to me that was the most important, was to speak to him first, make sure he's okay, which is really cool. It ends up, I'm happy to say, had a long FaceTime with Jeff this morning. He's physically okay, but mentally, although he's grateful for all the support, he's overwhelmed with all the attention. Mike, the man who assaulted Jeff, has been kicked out of Pure Muscle Gym and turned himself in last night to press charges, and apparently he made bail. It is never okay to put your hands on anyone, which is absolutely true. So yeah, Jeff's got like 2 million followers, and I don't know why you would go when you were supposedly training somebody and go assault somebody else because you don't like science-based training and you have a different opinion. Doesn't make sense. It boggles the imagination on why somebody would go from point A to Z and decide that, yeah, I'm going to assault somebody. Not going to assault them just once. I'm going to assault them twice on camera in a gym that is loaded with cameras. And then I'm even going to assault the cameraman. So that makes 3 assaults. And it's like, yeah, this is monumentally stupid. I just really just don't get it. So we're going to continue on here and read what's going on. He did a CT scan. Everything he's doing okay. He had a little bit of bruise on his neck. Mike Wyck has not issued an official statement, but shared messages of support from fans on his Instagram. I'm not, and this is the exact thing. This is the thing that bothers me right here, is Mike's fans are giving him messages of support for going out of your way, abandoning a client, going and assaulting a person who you have a disagreement on training with. You assault him not once, but twice, and then you assault the cameraman who's filming this, and you're doing it in a gym that kicked you out of the gym. I just don't understand. And this is where we go back to the thing where I worked in prisons. I had the same type of, what goes through people's minds? But then again, when you have people that are in prison, it is absolutely crazy. So yeah, Mike Van Wyck is just not doing right. He's not doing good. And it's absolutely crazy that we're seeing stuff like this where, he is assaulting people in the gym. Why? Why would you do that? And in this case, to me, this is a case of somebody who is a bully. This is a case of somebody who has a warped view of respect, somebody that doesn't have good social skills, somebody who doesn't know how to act as a mature and civil adult. And there's some wiring going wrong. Roid rage is probably at play in this because apparently Mike's whole thing is big, bad, and make himself look like, an ex-inmate and whatever, murderer, and try to get that bad boy type of look. And, people like that. I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense. And you just need to stop it. And it's funny because when you see people like this, and I've seen them in prison, I've seen them in life, I've seen them in the military, where the bigger, badder guy is always picking on the smaller people or the people that they know that they can intimidate. But when they run across somebody who they cannot intimidate and doesn't play that game, either they'll just leave the situation or they'll go and attack this person. And that's what happened here. Who in their right mind would think that it's okay? My livelihood depends on me training people, and I'm in a gym that gives me the opportunity to do that. Some of the rules in the gym is don't assault people in the gym, and you go away from your paying client and you have no thought whatsoever as to say, well, I have this idea that flew into my brain that I don't like that guy because he's science-based and he doesn't pay my bills. He's not family. He has no, but I'm just going to be really mad at him, and I'm going to leave my paying client, and I'm going to go in the gym, cameras be damned, and I'm going to assault this guy twice. And how would that fare later on down the road? I don't know. Maybe I'll lose my client because, hell, if I had a trainer that went and left me to go assault a person, I would be dropping that guy like a bad habit, and I would want a refund because that is just obscenely stupid. Did Mike actually think he would get away with this? That the gym would be, he's so full of himself and egotistical and narcissistic that he thinks, I can go and assault people, multiple people in a gym full of cameras, and the gym's not going to do anything because I'm such a big internet celebrity. Wrong. They fired him. They kicked him out, and he is banned from that gym. And what I would really hope is that all of the gyms in Canada would ban him, because that would actually, maybe that would teach him a lesson. Excuse me. But I don't think it would. I don't think it would, because in Mike's mind, Mike the prick, the Wyck, the Van Wyck prick, in his mind, that was justified enough to do it 1, 2, 3 times and not issue an apology. Yeah, he turned himself in because he didn't want things worse for himself later on. So he kind of stepped on his crank a few times and then realized hindsight is 2020, and he's like, yeah, this probably isn't a good thing. So he's probably going to spin this in a way that he will try to, he'll take all the accolades and the support from his followers for this situation when, it's obvious that his followers who support him in this have no clue as to the rule of law, morality, ethics, being a good person. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. I know it's not in the United States and it's in Canada, but I'm pretty sure Canada's constitution and laws are geared towards, you just don't go out and randomly attack people for no reason without does he feel so offended by Jeff, little old Jeff, who's 5'5", 180 pounds, that this 310-pound, 6-foot guy felt the need to go attack him? Is Jeff Nippard such an opposing force in nature that Mike just had to go attack him? I just don't get it. And, when you strip away the tattoos, and I got a few tats, but if you strip away the tattoos and you look at the actions and you think about the mindset and what goes through somebody's mind in this situation, you realize they're toxic. And now, with that being said, can Mike lift some weights? Have I watched his videos and got some good information? Absolutely. I like working to failure. I like some of the concepts and the things, but those concepts and things are not unique only to Mike Van Wyck. Others, it's facts that rule. And working to failure is good. And it all depends on your goals. If your goal is to get big, then you do certain things and you take a lot of steroids and you will get big. If you want to get strong, there's a certain routine and training stuff that you do to get strong, or if you want power, if you want endurance or hypertrophy, whatever it is, work towards those goals. But just because somebody has different goals and goes about it different ways and it has their routine in line with published studies and meta-analysis, that is no reason to go assault somebody. Seriously, it's kind of like, oh, I drive a Ford and you drive a Chevy and I'm just going to beat you up because you drive a Chevy, or vice versa. It makes no sense whatsoever, And when you get the whole background from the people that watched the entire video, because they didn't release it, Canada's kind of this weird stepbrother thing of America, they didn't release the whole video, but people who supposedly watched the entire video, Mike comes in, and there's this interchange, and Mike goes, "What's up?" and whatever, and it's like, yeah, we'll see about that, and they part their separate ways. Mike goes to his client, Jeff does his thing, and then Mike comes back, leaves his client, comes and squares off with Jeff, doing that whole posturing peacock thing. And then some words are exchanged, and Jeff has got his hands behind his back, which is a very smart move. That's a very educated move. And even though it might have put Jeff into a position, in a vulnerable position, but with all the cameras around, that just shows you how smart Jeff is, because he's like, I'm not going to be doing this, I'm not going to be doing this, I'm not going to be doing this, or, posturing and mean mugging and stuff like that. He's got his hands behind his back, and he's nonchalant, he's talking. And what we end up with is a clear case. I mean, Jeff played it out, mature and civil. And so what actually can end up happening, besides the charges, the assault charges on Mike, you could also, Jeff could go for pain and suffering and do a civil suit against him. So yeah, it just shows you how stupid Mike is in this whole situation, with no regard to the consequences of this situation. And he's like, yeah, I think it's a good idea to just go and assault him because I don't like his science routine. Stupid is as stupid does. I mean, prisons are littered with people like this. And the fact that he does it on camera, it doesn't amaze me. It does, but it doesn't, because I've been in prison and seen all this stuff. What amazes me that you have people like this who live like this day in and day out. And it just amazes me that people will follow toxic people like this guy here. So anyway, that's what we got going on. The whole, I'm gonna square off, and I'm gonna kick your butt, and squaring off, and it just doesn't make sense. You can get all the tattoos you want. You can try to look like a murderer and stuff like that. And what's interesting is there's a guy named Joey Stacks who, in this situation, what ended up happening is this guy Joey Stacks, who was actually in prison for murder and got out, gets involved in this situation. And Joey Stacks is like 5'5", 5'6", maybe 5'7", somewhere around there. But he squares off, and Mike apologizes to Joey Stacks. So he's definitely smaller, but Joey Stacks has been in prison for murder. And he's got, all his tats are basically from prison. And he is the real deal. When I see videos of Joey Stacks, and it ends up that Mike apologizes to Joey Stacks for the situation. Oh, I apologize, I didn't mean to bring you into all this. And it's Joey's like, hey, you're the one being the jerk. Of course he does it more in this rough, gruff voice of, hey, what are you going to be doing? Kind of like Randy Macho Man Savage. What are you doing? I've been in prison, blah, blah, blah. But it's entirely different than what we ended up seeing with Mr. Ginger guy here, who's squaring off, I'm your worst fucking nightmare. And from my time in the military, from my time working in prisons for over 11 years at a couple of facilities, medium R facilities, and I've even done some work in CSP, which is the worst prison in Colorado for state prisons. It's not the ADX. But I've seen people mouth off like this over and over and over again. And these are the people that you need to watch out for are the people that don't mouth off. And yeah, it's just amazing, because it's the quiet ones that you need to be careful. It's not the big guys, though the big guys can force you to put on a dress and do crazy things. But more often than not, it's the quiet guys that you need to be careful of. The guys that are loud like this, they're a dime a dozen, and they lie, they cheat, they steal, they pad their resume, being in prison. Oh, I murdered somebody, and here it is. And then you, as working in prisons, I can look up their records and find out, no, you're a child molester. But what these inmates will do will make themselves out to be bigger. They'll posture and do all this stuff and say, oh, I was in here for assault and grand theft and blah, 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 drugs and murder and manslaughter. And then you look up the records and it's like, no, you're just a pedophile. It's the posturing. And it's, saving face, and if using any excuse whatsoever to claim disrespect to keep your persona and, in other words, your safety intact. Of course, then you have gangbangers, and the Aryan Nation. You also have, the Bloods and the Crips and the Mexican gangs and all that stuff. And, I've had inmate crews work with me and inmates who were in all of those gangs. And respect is a big thing, but my thing was teaching people, and actually it ends up working with these people and working side by side, and because I had inmate crews, and I would treat them like an adult. I would treat them mature, and I would give them respect, and that's the very first thing I said. When they would get hired, and I would hire them, and we'd go do jobs together. I mean, I've got hammer, chisels, saws, screwdrivers, the whole 9 yards, anything that could be used as a weapon. I would tell all my guys to say, listen, okay, here's the deal. This is a job. It's to get away from all the bullshit. I don't care what you did. You're here for a reason. My job is not to punish you any further, and I'm going to treat you like an adult, and you have my respect. But if you're doing something wrong, I'm going to call you out on that. That is not disrespect. I'm going to call you out on what is wrong because I'm going to show you how to do it better. So it's not disrespect. And I did that with all my guys, and with the majority of people, they took that to heart, and they appreciated that. But I can tell you right now, that little ginger dude, Mike, and the ginger dude, those are the guys that would not listen to that. They would be stuck on stupid, the knuckleheads. They would be spending time in solitary. And, I think those guys, if they actually went to prison, and after people saw through the facade, they would be put in their place. And that's not a good place to be. So anyway, that's my little thing that we got going on with Mike Van Wyck, who is being the dick to Jeff Nippard by going out of his way and assaulting Jeff and his cameraman when he was training a client. How'd that work out for you there, Mike? I don't get it. Go to the gym, train your client, make some money. Lather, rinse, repeat, get some more followers, make some shorts, make some videos. Try to engage as with many other influencers who have millions of followers to expand your global reach. But no, I'm going to go assault somebody a couple of times and do the exact opposite. Good Lord, I just don't get it. And part of me is just like, thank God this is not the norm for gym culture. The norm for gym culture is going to the gym, working out. You do it 2 or 3 times a week. The everyday Joe, Jane, Q public who has 2.5 kids and a dog. They're working a full-time job. They want to lose the spare tire, kind of get rid of the flabby, under the arms or whatever. And you give them some good information. And whether they're doing for hypertrophy, strength, or general fitness, some cardio, whatever it is, those are the normal people. The people that don't go out and assault others because they're training a different way. It's, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to work out, and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to listen to my podcast or watch a movie as I work out, whatever it is. And then I'm going to go home and enjoy my wife and kids. And yeah, and it doesn't matter. When I go to the gym, I live in Korea. When I go to the gym at a military base, there's all kinds of people. There's people that do hypertrophy. There's people that do strength. There's the older people, the younger people. Of course, I'm 58 now, so there's a lot of people that are younger than me. Some people just do cardio. Some people do, full body routines. Some people do routines where it's like, wow, they're pretty damn new. And, I've offered help to some people and other people, they're like, no, I like what I'm doing. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. As long as you're in the gym working out, drive on. Good job. It's very rare that I go and actually help somebody unless they're doing something that's dangerous. And then I'll put my 2 cents in. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I've rarely had to do that because the majority of people are normal. They have a good sense of right and wrong. They understand life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They just don't go around half-cocked and assaulting people because, oh, he's doing cardio and I'm doing strength training, or vice versa. It doesn't make sense. Who gives a shit? Let him be, Thank God we don't have to live up to the standards and the morals of Mike Van Pritt or Wyck. That would be a horrible world to be in, because all of us would be facing charges. So, it's interesting. And doing some more background check on Mike, he had some sponsorship with some protein companies and so on and so forth. And so in social media, this is going to be a big thing. And this is going to take a big chunk of his money out of his pocket, because they're not going to pay for somebody who goes in a gym and just assaults people for no reason. But stupid is as stupid does, and sometimes people don't learn, and Mike apparently is not learning and doing it the hard way and still pressing it. So anyway, this is enough for me. This is absolutely crazy. Today is a workout day for me, and I love going to the gym because I can be by myself. I can keep the demons at bay, and it gives me something to do to fight off sarcopenia and kind of work on my PTSD issues that I got. Thank you, Uncle Sam, for the gift that keeps on giving. But other than that, the gym is almost like a church. It is a sanctuary. It is a place where everybody should be welcome, regardless of their training regime or beliefs or whatever. Just come work out, have a good time, enjoy yourself, get healthy, get fit. At whatever level you're at. We're all at different places in our journey of fitness and health. So don't let what other people do bother you. Be an adult and stop the stupid stuff. And if you're doing so many steroids that line is blurred, you need to seek some professional help. And that's all I got to say. All right. With that being said, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. The Buried Life, I am Steve, the retired hobby technician, who also does a little bit of fitness from time to time, and I enjoy it. But have other things in your life. And learn how to be good at social interactions, please. Think about the reactions, the consequences of your actions, and think about that before you speak or do something stupid. Otherwise, you'll end up like Mike. Okay. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.